welcome back.
Hello, welcome to Nintendo Nostalgia, episode 243. I'm your host, Jacob Rush. I'm joined by my co-hosts, Chris, Josh, and Ryan. We are back and we are playing with power. Gentlemen, how's it going?
It's going great.
Wonderful.
Not too bad.
Uh, Good. It's so good to be on, guys. I know I haven't been on as much lately, just cranking away at college and getting there one step at a time. But obviously you have to make time for E3. No matter what's going on in life, you got to make time. It's the Christmas for gamers, and obviously today's going to be about our Nintendo predictions. But I am so stoked to be here. I'm excited for the season. But with that said, there's a lot leading up to it. We still want a Radical Rex, so I think it's appropriate time to get back into what we've been Radical Rexing about. And I think I want to go first because I haven't done it in a long time. I'm simply just stoked, obviously, for E3. I'm excited with all the rumors, and we don't know. Will we have a Switch Pro announcement, tomorrow or not? Will we? I'm excited to see, even if it doesn't happen before. I think Nintendo has a history of, like, as soon as E3 is over, like the next week they announce something, and everyone's like, "Why didn't they show that at E3?" I remember, well, I think it was E3 20, maybe 17 or 18, where like they had their event, and literally the next week they announced their Super NES Mini, and Ryan was texting me. I was in Seattle at the time, and I just remember that, and it's just like, why didn't they show that at E3? The SNES Classic, and Nintendo surprises us with that. So I mean, I'm hoping it's before E3 we hear about the Pro, but I think it'll be, if not, I think it'll definitely be soon after. And I don't know. There's just so much going on. I'm just excited for E3 to be here. The hype and our E3 get together. Or we've all been chit chatting about what to bring and what we're going to do. It's just going to be a good time. I'll pass it off to you, Ryan. How about you?
I am radical rexing about just, of course, the hype that is building for E3. I am not hyping responsibly at all. I'm going to try to keep my predictions pretty low key. But my personal belief that this is the year that all the things that I've always wanted Nintendo to do is what's going to happen. Because just coming off of 2020, I'm so ready for Nintendo to be awesome. They've had all this time to work on things and prepare this awesome lineup schedule. They've had a delay with COVID and everything, so I want them to hit the notes right on this direct that they're doing. But I'm also riding the hype waves of the Switch Pro, the Super Nintendo Switch, the whatever it's going to be called, and just looking forward to kind of weighing my options if I want to pick it up when it comes out, or if I want to wait for a Metroid version, special edition Switch. But it's still kind of I'm on the fence. I'm probably still gonna try to pre-order it, but I'm just excited that Nintendo's doing something newer and hearing all the rumors flying around, and I just want to know I want to know more specifics. I'm getting hyped by all the little clues that you find, like the Bluetooth enabled in the coding, and the updater. There's a way to update the dock's firmware, which the dock doesn't have any firmware. It's just a pass through right now. So there might be some tech in the dock, whether it be kind of Bluetooth interface or something. I don't know, or just maybe it's just USB 3.0 upgrades or something. Who knows? But just kind of really hyping all about that. It's what I'm really excited for right now. As far as gaming goes, I played a little bit more of Super Mario Sunshine, collected a few more, shines, and it's all good. But I haven't been doing much else other than that. I think Duel Links has kind of taken up most of my time with gaming, or just I'm working a lot and prepping for a birthday party for tomorrow for Draco. So Draco's big 3-0. I'm looking forward to that. But other than that, I think that's about it. Josh.
Yeah, so I'll start with kind of the gaming side of things. Of course, being excited about E3. I am planning on going to, for those who don't know, where I live in West Virginia, I am planning on driving to Indiana again this year to be with Jacob, Ryan, and the rest of the gang in that area for E3. Usually hang out a few days. Did that last time in 2019, which was awesome because it's when they announced Banjo and Kazooie for Smash and the sequel to Breath of the Wild, some other cool stuff. So that was cool. But yeah, just mostly been playing, believe it or not, even though it's not, again, sometimes I jump into genres. That's not always my thing. But I've been playing Dragon Quest 11 through my Xbox Game Pass. And I've put I don't know, a decent amount of hours into it so far. It's pretty good. There's a few things that I guess I could say like gets a little repetitive maybe, but it's really not bad. Like there's a lot to enjoy about it. I see the appeal for sure for it. Along with that, I think it was last Friday maybe. I stayed up until about 2 a.m. with my friend Casey playing through Donkey Kong Country 2 again, just for kicks. And we completed that game again. So that's always a good time. Played some Fortune Street, so that's kind of a random one. So yeah, just a little bit of that jumping around everywhere. Yeah, I know that's kind of a weird one, but every once in a while we go back there, and for whatever reason, my wife and a couple of my friends seem to like it. Maybe more than I do, but it's still not bad. They do need to bring that one back. But yeah, outside of that, I have been actually taking some classes through Udemy, which I'm probably saying incorrectly. And one of them was for the narrative and game writing, and another one was just kind of for writing in general. And now I've started one to try to learn Unity, which seems to be a little difficult, especially with my laptop. Just kind of finding the time to sit down and do it is sort of a trip in its own. But yeah, I'm excited to hopefully pick it up and hopefully really make something of all this stuff in the future. Kind of step out and away from my current line of work, hopefully sooner rather than later. So definitely looking forward to learning more there. So yeah, other than that, I think that's about it that I can think of off the top of my head anyway. Chris, what you got going
on? Well, it's just been nice to have life kind of be a little bit more normal. I was going out with some friends over the past weekend, and we had a really, really great time. And I've been watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I finally finished, what's it called? The Mandalorian. I think I mentioned that like the last time that we spoke, which was awesome. And so I'm like, you know what? Let me try Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I'm really pleasantly surprised. Yeah, it's really good. Like a very surprising amount of production value into a TV series. Like their budget is ridiculous. So that's pretty impressive. And the stories are really good. So it's just like a nice, casual thing to watch every once in a while. So that's been cool. Gaming wise, again, haven't really played too much. I have been playing the game that we'll be talking about in the next week, so you can look forward to that. And also, I forgot that I bought Blizzard Arcade Collection. If you guys heard of that, yeah, it's
Lost Vikings.
Yeah. So I only played one game in that. I didn't play that one yet. I played Rock and Roll Racing, which is a game that I always heard about. And I had no idea that they made this, or I don't even know if Blizzard made it at the time. I guess they did. But it's really good. I don't know, it's weird because you wouldn't think that it would be fun, but it just is. It's just one of those games I can't really describe why it's so fun. It has like an isometric point of view, and you race that way, which for me, that would turn me off right away, and that has. But when you play it, it's just like, oh, I don't even care. And it's crazy because it has like the licenses to all these like rock and roll songs from the 80s, and you're just listening to that while you're racing around on these absurd, really crappy looking apocalyptic tracks. And there's just something really charming about it, and it plays just fine. It's just like a great arcadesy racer, so I definitely recommend that. I got the collection on sale, and I think it's like $30 when it's not on sale, so it's a little steep, but if you can get it on sale, I definitely recommend it. And that's just one of the games in that collection. So yeah, Rock and Roll Racing is really, really fun. I always heard of it, and I'm glad that I finally own it. Besides that, with gaming, just been playing like Mario Kart online with some friends, and yeah, that's it. Just looking forward to having a little bit more free time over the coming weeks and catching up on some games. I'll probably play Shantae, and I have definitely committed to Undertale. I just haven't really gotten around to it lately, so I'll keep you guys posted on that.
Awesome. Well, I haven't had much time to game myself. I mean, when I do, I guess I've been diving it. I've been Pokemon snapping it more casually now. I was hardcore into it, and now it's just kind of more casual as I finish it out. And I have been revisiting Mario Galaxy and slowly collecting the stars in that. But well, guys, I think it's time to just finally get into our E3 predictions. Before we get into those, though, we do have a voicemail from an old friend of the show. So let's go ahead and play that.
Hey, now screw with old man Chris. What's up, Jake, Ryan, and young Chris? Listen, I heard you guys were doing predictions, so I wanted to throw my hat in the ring. I can't join you on the show, but I wanted to at least give you some of mine. So I'm going to give you 5. Number 1, Switch Plus is coming this year in September. We'll launch with Breath of the Wild 2 as a launch title for the console. Going to be a big push at the E3 show. Number 2, we are going to get a Zelda maker. It's going to be shown for the first time at E3, and it's going to be out in December. Number 3, new Smash character is going to be Travis Touchdown. We are getting No More Heroes 3 at some point this fall, and so to coincide with that, we are going to get him added to the Smash roster. Number 4, I think we're going to get Animal Crossing DLC. And when I say this, I mean big DLC. Animal Crossing has been a monster for them, and I think they want to keep supporting it. So I think we're going to get a brand new area, maybe even the online area, but an area that we'll be able to visit apart from the island. And then number 5, guys, I hate to say it, but there's not going to be Metroid. Metroid is a no-show once again. I do believe that 2022 is the year of Metroid. We're going to get the next Prime game, probably a 2D game. I think it's going to be big next year. But this year, I think Metroid as a whole is MIA for the entire show. And that's it. And then just one honorable mention. I do think we're going to get a new Banjo game this year. But it will be Xbox exclusive. So you can put that in your Diddy Kong and smoke it. Have a good show, guys. Bye.
Wow.
All right. I'm not sure what putting it in your Diddy Kong and smoke it means, but
yeah, how does one do that?
Yeah.
That's some
where specifically? Okay.
I didn't even get a hello. Like, come on now, Chris. Come on, you forgot somebody.
That's a big. Well, to be fair, I don't think he's ever been on an episode with you, Josh.
This is true.
So
I don't
maybe
know. I've talked to him before.
Well, man, I think Chris he has some crazy predictions, and if he is right about Banjo, I'll definitely. I don't want to say definitely because I'm always torn on that. I would get an Xbox for it, but at the same time, you kind of feel like since Banjo's been built back up through Smash, that somehow it would come to a Switch Pro eventually. And if that was the case, I would totally wait for it to come to Nintendo. I don't know. Right now, every year, I think the past 3 or 4 years, I have sat down and I have watched the Xbox presentation, looking for Banjo, waiting for the trailer, and it never comes. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, literally, I'm to the point where like it's not happening. I will just be utterly shocked if it happens. I will not expect Banjo-Kazooie to show up until they prove me wrong, because they just let me down every year. And that's all they had to do to get me to buy an Xbox. That's all they have had to do. If you want Jacob Rust, a longtime hater Xbox man, buys an Xbox, bring Banjo-Kazooie back, rightfully so, in their glory. So, but I'm curious about what you guys think about his other predictions. Metroid not being at the show, that was a surprising prediction, actually.
I think I agree with that, honestly.
I mean, we'll see. We're not into our predictions yet, but what do you guys think of what Chris had to say?
I'll say again on the Metroid thing, I think he's probably right on that, unfortunately. I feel like Retro hasn't been on it a long time for Retro standards anyway. Like, I love Retro Studios, but it does take them a little while, and that's okay. But unfortunately, he might be right on that. I've even questioned if the sequel to Breath of the Wild, whatever that's going to be called, is going to be there. It probably will be over Metroid, but I hope me and Chris there are wrong. but we'll see. For Travis touchdown, I thought that was an interesting choice. I don't know if I caught if he said that was who he would want or just who you were predicting, but I would be all right with that. He's not like my first choice or by any means, but it's definitely more interesting than some other options that I know of. So that's cool. I don't hear that one very often, and it sort of makes sense. So yeah, what about you guys?
Yeah. I when he says that Metroid is a no-show, does he mean like in any form? Because for me, I kind of think that a 2D Metroid could be happening or revealed, could be revealed during E3. Metroid Prime 4, I think that could also be revealed, really. Could be either of those. With the 2D Metroid, I think where there's smoke, there's fire. And there's a lot of smoke with that rumor. So we'll see what happens there. Because we haven't heard anything about Metroid Prime 4, so who knows with that. But when it comes to the Zelda Maker, I think that's really interesting. So um, I could see that happening, and Mario Maker sold well enough. They might want to capitalize on that. Regarding Travis Touchdown, I'm not opposed to him being in it. I think he's pretty cool. I think the games are pretty good. I just don't think that he's like iconic enough. There's like where would his stage be? What would the music be like? Like they're just not iconic. Like with Minecraft, they're kind of iconic, even though I don't care for those games. So they made sense. Steven, whoever else is in it, Alan or whatever. Sorry,
Alex.
I don't know. I don't know. Who knows? So if he's in it, fine. If he's not, fine. I just think he's not at the top of anyone's list, really. But at the same time, we do need a Ubisoft rep, and that could be the one. Although I don't know if
He's not Ubisoft.
Ubisoft is going to. Yeah, well, I mean, Ubisoft published the first two. They might not be publishing this third one, so that would be like an indie pick if they're not,
We do
But
need a
anyway,
Ubisoft rest, but
yeah,
another story.
yeah. But I last thing I'll say is like with the Animal Crossing DLC, when it comes to Nintendo and predicting Animal Crossing DLC, I think the more that you expect with that, the less that they give you. So the more you put out into the universe that you want more DLC, you will get less. So just for that, they're going to take things away from you. That's just how it works with them and being a Nintendo fan. So I hope you're right because Animal Crossing is not the game that I would like it to be just yet. I think there's a lot of potential that they need to dig into, but I don't know with this DLC. The rollout has been disturbing to watch. So that's just me, though. What about you, Ryan?
I don't know. Chris has a way of pooping on my parade in so many ways, so I don't know. Um, oh man, Chris, you're a trip. I don't see a lot of those things happening, but I hope that they do. I'm hoping that my predictions also add to your hype and all of our predictions, really. And I hope that Nintendo does kind of show us some of these things. I'm going to say you're dead wrong about Metroid. Metroid's going to show up, so in some form or fashion. But other than that, I like where you're going with your predictions. I'm a little surprised of the name, the plus that you gave it. It's like it sounds like PlayStation Plus to me. That doesn't. I feel like Nintendo's going to go out on their own and make some weird like Wii or like
No.
I think they'll probably stay away from the new, but something unique. Um, Switch. They had
I
like
really hope it's called a Super Switch. Honestly,
Mhm.
I would love for them to just revisit from their past. I
Mhm.
think that'd be cool.
Yeah. As long as they don't call it New Switch, that's really all I ask. I don't care what they call it. They could call it the Switch hamburger for all I care. Just enough with the new moniker. I'm so sick of that. It's so
Mhm.
stupid.
Yeah. No new and no Switch U. That would confuse people too much.
True. Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see what happens, and I think we're gonna get an announcement here soon. I'm hoping it's tomorrow, but I'm not getting my hopes up on all those rumors being legit. So, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know.
Other than that, yeah, I'm a bit I'm a bit leery of Travis touchdown, though it would be cool to have. I'm just cheering for Donnie over here from PSVG, just Nintendo Shack, because he really wants a Travis touchdown amiibo. So I'd really hope that for him. But I doubt it would happen. Um, I don't know. There's some other reps we might see. Um, I'm curious just what they're gonna do with these last two. Um, Whether they're gonna do two announcements and just get the two out of the way, or if they're just gonna save it for later, like do something at the Game Awards. They'll announce the final one at the Game Awards or something like that. They do have a timeline that they have, planned for these Smash reveals. So I think we're probably gonna get one.
There you
Yeah.
have it.
I think
Yeah.
like Travis Touchdown, I think he's a really cool looking character, and I like the cell shaded look of him, but I just don't think he's like that iconic of a character. But
He's like a
Yeah.
Bayonetta, honestly.
right, yeah. But it also like he's a sword fighting character. Like we have enough of those. Haven't they heard the complaints?
Hey,
and
That's
hey,
exactly why he would
Team
make it.
Katana, thank you.
right.
It's not a sword; it's a katana.
It looks
we
like a
also
sword.
got,
It
like-
fights like a sword.
We also got Joker. Like, I know no one who knew who Joker was when he
Yeah.
was announced, like, personally. So, I don't know. Anyway,
We have some Facebook comments that people have responded with their own predictions for E3. So we'll go ahead and take it away, Chris, over on our Facebook page.
All right. So thank you, everyone, for responding to my post. So I'm just going to read off some of the comments that some of you guys wrote. So Jason wrote, Xenoblade Chronicles X port, please. And I think that's actually a pretty realistic thing. So we'll see. Andrews says, Breath of the Wild 2, release date, fall. Nintendo Switch Pro, fall. New Mario game announced. RCS footage. New 2D Metroid. Mario Rabbids 2, and Splatoon 3. Well, I think Splatoon 3 will be happening, but the rest, I hope so. And then we also have Jerry, who said, perhaps a teaser in Mario and plus Rabbids 2. A lot of Mario plus Rabbids love. That's pretty cool. I know Josh is pretty happy over there hearing that. Eric Plunk says, Game Boy Advance on Nintendo Switch Online, Shadow Drop starting with 25 games. 25 games, I wouldn't count on it, but that would be a dream come true.
more like 2.
Yeah, for real, if
Still
any at
no
all.
Mother 3.
Right.
Right. Yeah. And Michael Christopher Perricone. I like saying your last name. He says, rare replay for Switch, new Donkey Kong, Animal Crossing DLC, and a new side game. Like, I'm guessing he means like a Happy Home Designer or something like that. And Game & Wario 2. Game Boy games to celebrate all the 35th anniversaries. That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, those are some pretty cool ideas. I think something, if I could just make a quick comment, I think that a lot of us are on the same page when it comes to predictions. I think that we all kind of want pretty similar things. I'm seeing like some people echoing each other. And so it is pretty cool that like we kind of have an idea of what we would like, but who knows what will happen. Ryan, our very own Ryan Black says, Metroid, Metroid, Metroid with ice climbers on top. I hope so too. That would be cool. Well, let me ask you real quick, Ryan. So what are you expecting with ice climbers if they were to announce something? What is like your dream ice climbers game? Unless you want to save that for the predictions.
No, it's not my predictions this year. I don't think Nintendo's bringing in Ice Climbers anytime soon. I just like to see something done with the series. They haven't gotten any love yet. If it gets anything half as epic as Kid Icarus got, then I'd be happy.
True.
But
Yeah, totally.
some kind of crazy overhaul, just make it something unique, really fun from Nintendo. I hope it's not too kiddie. I hope it's a little bit more serious, like Kid Icarus is. But it has some good ideas there that could be made into a game someday. But that's just definitely not this E3.
Yeah. You never know. You never know. Because we all thought Kid Icarus would come for a long time, and then we kind of just gave up. And then out of nowhere, with the 3DS launch, they had a trailer for it. So, You never know. But no, I'm with you there. Like Ice Climbers, I never heard of them until Super Smash Bros. Melee. And when I saw them as characters and saw their world and the trophies and stuff, I'm like, oh man, this franchise has a lot of personality. So I think there's a lot of potential and they should really at least try something, Can't hurt. But anyway, our last comment is from Ryan L, and he said, either Samus Returns port or a new 2D Metroid, the best way to play Metroid. Okay, that's fair. A new DK game for the 40th anniversary. Mario Kart 9 reveal with a 2021/early 2022 launch. Okay. Sora Smash reveal. 3D Zelda collection with Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD ports from the Wii U, and Ocarina of Time, although might not be the fully remastered version. Happy E3, everyone. Thank you guys again very much for your comments. I really appreciate it. We all do. And do you guys have anything you want to talk about with any of the comments that you've heard?
I will slap on to Ryan's comment there real quick. The Sora Smash reveal, that is possibly the only, I'm using this term loosely, just to be a little bit funny, but the only anime swordsman I would be happy with seeing at this point. Actually, kind of ever, but that's not true. But and I like a lot of your choices. Actually, just about all of them are good. Just about it. That sounded kind of rude. I'm sorry. I think the only thing I didn't agree with is the 2D Metroid being the best way to play Metroid. And it's debatable.
This is why Chris didn't mention you, Josh.
It is. I'm just picking on Chris anyway.
Pinball is the best way to play Metroid.
Okay, leave.
That is a good game.
Never return.
Like it is a prime whatever it is. Prime Pinball is a good game. Is that what it was called?
Yes.
Yeah, it was cool.
Is it the best way to play Metroid? No.
No.
Maybe not.
But it was cool.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I'll say about one of his predictions is the Mario Kart 9 reveal. I mean, I want all of these predictions, like from all these comments, to come true. But like Mario Kart 9, I don't think that's going to be happening, especially because Mario Kart 8 is still selling so well.
Sells so much.
Yeah. So
I agree.
I don't know. Yeah, I would love that, but it's just like I don't know what they're gonna do with Mario Kart moving forward, especially after this like iPhone game. Like, what is in the cards with that? I think it's just gonna be a Switch 2 thing. But Jacob, what were you gonna say?
Well, I have to comment on the Zelda anniversary stuff. People have been talking about that coming. I don't know how much credibility there is to that, guys, because I remember I was thinking about it today. Last year with Mario, it was rumored. Like there was a high rumor about a new 2D Metroid game in the works, and people were talking about Mario 3D All Stars, and all that came true. 3D All Stars, and it was rumored well before E3. And I just feel like we, the fans, made up this 35th anniversary idea. I don't even know if it's real. Now, I mean, does it make sense? Of course, it makes sense, but I personally am also trying to be realistic, and I think that if Nintendo shows us everything that is coming this year at E3, then what's going to be in our next Direct? If there is going to be a Zelda thing, I personally could see them waiting and doing a special 35th Zelda Direct down the road where they highlight Zelda stuff, and it's like the love that Mario got, and you do get your collection and stuff, but I really just don't think we're going to see much of. I think we'll see Zelda, but I don't think we're going to see as much as people just automatically think is going to happen.
I don't expect Nintendo to act like we expect them to act. So the 35th, I could see them just skipping over it and ignoring it and doing their own thing. Not to say we won't enjoy the thing that they're doing, but I don't know if they're going to follow that, I guess, popular shout out that popular opinion of what Nintendo should be doing.
For sure. But besides all that, guys, I think it's time for us to get into our predictions. And Chris, I think this is your first E3 with us, is it not?
It is, yeah. I can't believe that I'm like talking to you guys after being a listener for so long, and here I am making predictions with you. That's crazy. And
That
maybe
is
even
crazy.
being with you in person too, which is also.
Hey, we're still hoping. Fingers crossed, man.
Yep.
But it's. I think you should take the honors of starting here, and we're going to start off with doing all of us predicting our Smash reveal character or characters, depending on what we think is going to happen. So take it away.
All right. I'm thinking that they're probably just going to do one reveal. Although, who could have predicted in 2018 or 19 that they gave us two Smash Brothers DLC reveals? That was one of the most wild moments of my entire life, like as a Nintendo fan. So who knows with them? And I'll just preface all of my predictions with that. Who knows? There is one company that is just super unpredictable, and that's Nintendo, and that just comes with that's just part of the appeal for them. So anyway, as far as like Smash DLC fighters go, I really thought long and hard about this because, like I mentioned, they're super unpredictable. Like the past few reveals have just been so unexpected. So, like after Pyra and Mithra, if that's what they're called, that just threw all of my expectation. So here's what I'm thinking. I think the most realistic one at this point could be, I think it's like Ryu Hayabasa or something, like the Ninja Gaiden guy,
Hayabusa.
because
Yeah.
Okay. Um, because that was something that a lot of fans kind of expected. It makes a lot of sense because, the Ninja Gaiden series has a lot of history with Nintendo. There is that like collection coming out pretty soon, and we don't have a Tecmo representative, and I think that Tecmo has like a pretty important place in Nintendo history. So while he's not like at the top of my list, I think he's pretty realistic, and like the stars could be aligned for something like that. And I think a ninja character would be pretty interesting. I personally would love Rayman. That's like my number one pick at this point. But unfortunately, Michel Ancel, who is the guy who created Rayman, he left the gaming industry. I think it was like sometime last year. So I don't think he really cares or had any input with having Rayman put into the series. So I just don't see a reason why they would include him. If he's out of the picture, there's probably not another Rayman game in the works because he's just so pivotal to that series. So I don't think Rayman will be happening. Crash is just like whatever. Like if he's in it, cool. If he's not in it, cool. And but I will also just end with saying that I think Bomberman would be a really interesting inclusion into Smash Brothers. He just has such a unique moveset. He's very iconic. His stage would be really cool if they incorporated, those typical battle arenas. So I think Ryu Hayabusa, or however you say it, is like my number one realistic pick, and my wish pick is probably Bomberman at this point. So those are my picks for me. What about you, Jacob?
Man, well, I have to say, I've always actually wanted Bomberman in my mind. I feel like he's kind of like, I don't know why, but nostalgically, I kind of view him as like a staple. I view like you got Mario, Donkey Kong, Pac-Man, Sonic, Mega Man, and for some reason Bomberman's in there. I don't really know why, but I feel like he was a bigger deal back in the 90s. And I've always wanted Bomberman in there as an actual fighter. So that'd be pretty cool. My personal, I think you guys are going to think I'm crazy, but
Mhm.
I think, especially with what Josh shared with us today, I think it's going to be Crash. I really do. I think the Crash Bandicoot's got, they just tweeted out that funny photo of him working out and like he's got getting ready for the next thing. And it happens right before E3. Who's already been highly rumored. A lot of people have been predicting him. I think he's coming, and that's who I think will show up if I had a wish, and if I think that if I think there's only going to be one, but if there's two, I think Master Chief will be the other pick, and I really do, and that's simply because I think Microsoft and Nintendo keep building up towards things, and he would be a unique character, I think. And I'm not saying that I necessarily want him. I'm just saying I think that he would happen, and I think that'll play into one of my later on predictions. So that's what I think's happening. If I had to choose a wish, I went my next wish, because I've let's be real, I've pretty much gotten everybody who I've wanted in Smash now. I wanted Ridley, Dark Samus, King K. Rool, and
No Paper
obviously
Mario yet.
Banjo Kazooie. Yeah, I've never gotten Paper Mario, and I've always wanted him. But I think it's now, as I look down my list, I really would like to see a Dixie Kong in there. We've got Diddy. I think Dixie would be my own personal next wish. If I could throw someone in there, it'd be her. But let's swing it on to Josh. What do you think, bud? And what do you think
All
about
right.
mine?
I think those are really good choices, especially the Dixie Kong. I'd have to agree with that. I'd be very happy with that. Any Kong, or just about any rare character, of course. Now, you were guessing Master Chief, and I would be pretty cool with that one. I just personally don't think that one's going to be it with Banjo and Kazooie being in the first pack, Steve already being in the second pack. I feel like, and Japan just not caring about Halo, seemingly. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. I would be cool with that addition, but I just don't see it. But personally, I think, and this is not what I want, but from what I just kind of researched, I think Chris is probably the closest so far with Ryu Hayabusa or Lloyd Irving. I know that's another kind of, swordsman or what have you. I know Ryan would be happy with that, so that's cool. That's the only
Ryan would be
reason I would.
freaking out.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I would be happy with that one, but that's who I kind of think it is. Simply
If it's
because
Lloyd, I'm filming it and we're posting it.
he's the only missing
Right,
me
right
costume.
reaction.
He's the only missing me costume from the Wii U, I believe, or at least it's like a character. Of course, he could still come back as a costume.
He was the top pick for Japan when they did the
Yeah,
Smash.
Oh wow.
there seems to be a lot of fans for him.
Interesting.
So I think he's got that going for him. I think he has a good shot. Another kind of weird missing character, just while I'm mentioning it, is Porky from the Mother series. Like that
Oh
boss is
yeah.
completely missing. He doesn't have a spirit. He's just gone. So
Hmm.
I don't know how that would work, but I think there's something possibly there. I just don't know
Yeah,
how.
you could argue like they have that balance of like heroes and villains in Smash Ultimate, so that would be one that's missing a villain.
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah.
we'll see where that goes, but I think he's going to show up somewhere. Maybe not as a character, but we'll see. Anyhow, now for the ones I want, I honestly, there is a lot of great characters in that game. I can't complain too much. So I have a pretty decent list. And Banjo Kazooie was the ones I've wanted the most for the past 20 plus years. And King K. Rool is a big one. We've gotten a lot of great characters. Um, I'll pick my number one last here, but to name off a few, Rayman is definitely a big one. I think they deserve a character in. Ubisoft does. Rayman's iconic, all that sort of thing. Scorpion, I think, would be awesome. I think they could make it work without the blood and all that. So I think he's obviously got a cool move set. I think it would work out great. Fighting only has representation from Street Fighter.
Not so fast.
Oh, I forget about whatever his name is.
Terry Bogard.
Terry, thank you. But I think he would be an awesome choice. I would be cool with Doomslayer. I don't know how that one would work, but I just think he's cool. Of course, you got the Dixie Kong, and I think Conquer would be great. I have to say my number one, and maybe I'm going more off of like somewhat realistic choices compared to like Conquer or something. My number one though would be Crash. Again, I just think he is a super iconic character. I think he's way more recognizable than like 50% of the Smash cast at this point anyway. So I'm like, I don't know why he's not there already. I don't know if he's gonna happen, honestly. Again, he's like not a Japan character, so he might not make it, but you never know. I think he's definitely deserving, and I think he has plenty of moves to pick from. Possibly even like Coco as a clone or whatever you call it, an Echo character. I think would be cool. So that's the ones I want the most. At least off the top of my head, I feel like I always think of someone else later. Yeah. Ryan, what do you think?
Who do I pick? It's hard to say. You got some pretty good picks there, Josh. Some I'm like, I don't know. I can't see Nintendo going for like Scorpion or something like that. Not to say that like I mean they've done Bayonetta, but like just I don't know. I it would be nice to have like fighters from all different kinds of fighting games in the series and have that represented. But I kind of want Nintendo to do something a little bit outside of the fighting genre, and bring stuff that wouldn't normally translate into Smash Brothers, but have like a good spread of moves and stuff like that, um, and like unique mechanics. So like my first pick is definitely like Beautiful Joe. I would absolutely love to see him as a character in Smash.
Yeah.
Just um, be really cool to see how they work the time mechanics and stuff with him, with like replay mode and slowing down time, speeding up time. Probably like a counter would be the slowing down time thing, and how impacts are a lot bigger and stuff depending on what mode you're in, and but you also have the risk of like in the slower modes you're kind of lagging, so you got to be careful what you do, and I don't know, it'd be kind of interesting. They could already use the kind of the time mechanics that they already have in the game. When they slow down time, you got the timer and things like that, or the bunny hood make you go faster. They could use those elements built in, but use them in a unique way. That'd be kind of cool. Um, always going to be a fan of voting for Waluigi. He needs representation, but that balance of villains. Dr. Robotnik would be really cool to see there with Sonic and what have you. Just the villain representation, like you can just look at what villains are missing from this. Like we just got Pyro and Mythra, two characters in one. No one's really expected like Nintendo to announce like a duality character like that. And so like I could see them moving back towards putting in another villain for the theme. You're trying to like map out what the theming would be, um, and how they would introduce characters. There's a lot of popular series that you can pull from. I would think that they'd want to go with something, with their nation like Japan, something that's very like resonates with that audience. So I can definitely see like probably my number one pick would be Lord Irving for sure. Especially with how well he performed in the voting and everything from Smash 4. Um, so I think that there's a good chance that we're going to see another sword fighter, no matter how you cut it. I'd like to see another like quirky character like Piranha Plant, like how Game and Watch
I
was
see
so
what you
like
did there.
off the wall. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking with with my Smash predictions. So
Yeah. One of the thing with Smash Brothers is that you can really justify almost any character. Like it would make sense if Crash was
Goku.
in. Yeah, seriously, enough with it, Goku, and the all these other crazy things. But yeah, like anything can happen. Anything can happen, and Nintendo's, like I said a million times, they're just so unpredictable. Who could have predicted that Joker would be the first DLC character, like what Josh mentioned? But Josh, you really have me like thinking about this like Porky character. I think that could really happen. I've never even considered them until now.
Just keep an eye
Because
out for him. I have a feeling he's gonna show up somewhere. Don't
yeah,
know how yet.
because like I mean, it would make sense because all Nintendo fans have been wanting for the past 20 or so years is a port of Mother 3, and they don't want to
Mother
do it
3.
because what was that?
I just said Mother 3.
Jacob was cursing.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, all fans have been asking for is Mother's 3, and they don't want to do it because it's not going to make too much money, or that's how they would feel. And what is the reason why characters are included in Smash? It's because their games, after they are revealed as a fighter, tend to sell pretty well. So what better way for Mother 3 to be released than to have Porky as a DLC character, which is one of the biggest hype things as a Nintendo fan in general. And also
Right.
the kind of like what Ryan is saying, one of the themes, if you could give a theme to all these DLC characters, is villains. It's been from the very beginning, like that trailer that's just like dun dun dun
Yeah.
dun. All of those previews in that little moment are of good characters fighting their villains, and I could totally see them utilizing or capitalizing off of that with what's his name, Ness and Porky. So I think that's really, really interesting. So you've got me You got my mind going crazy right now thinking about that. But the thing with like Lloyd is he really like iconic enough? Like, does he have a stage that he could use? Is the music iconic enough? Because music is like a really big part of like a
Oh yeah.
Smash Fighter's part, and that's like one of the reasons why I think like Crash could be a potential character because his music is so iconic. The only thing with Crash is that he's kind of like a character that we all kind of like fell back on after we got everyone else that we wanted. So after we got Banjo Kazooie, it's just like
Leftovers.
Crash, or Spyro. It's not like we've all been dying for Crash Bandicoot to be in Smash, but we'd all be like fine with it.
Right.
That's just
Yeah,
my.
because he sucks. I mean, let's be
Oh
real.
no,
No, don't listen.
I've got Jacob started.
Well, the thing that Nintendo's done too, Sakurai has shown with Smash, like it doesn't matter. They don't have to be a fighting game. I mean, he could take someone from Brain Age and he'd turn him into a fighter.
True.
And period. So literally, I mean, it could be anybody. I mean, it's silly. He could take Rambi the Rhino from DKC and make him the next fighter.
Yeah.
I'd be cool with that.
Yeah.
I'd be cool with that.
Give us Jimmy or Cat and Nana from WarioWare.
Honestly,
Yeah.
that would be really cool. And do you guys remember like when the Grinch rumor was coming out that like
Yeah.
the Rhythm
Please don't
Heaven
remind us.
people, that like the chorus
Yeah.
kids, one of them, and like
Mhm.
I totally forgot about them, but if they included them, that would be awesome. Like I like the weird characters. I got everyone I wanted. I'm cool with Banjo Kazooie and the Arms Girl and all the other fun people we've had along the way. So at this point, they can go crazy. I don't really care at this point. Just make them a pretty cool character and make it interesting and fun. And this is it. This is going to be the end of the DLC. So it's just so exciting.
I mean, since you mentioned that real quick too, I kind of feel like the next Smash should always represent like what's new and what's on the next system, which is the Switch. And I'm glad that like they put like Arms in there and they put Xenoblade 2 characters in there. However, Mario Rabbids was so big, I honestly really have always wanted Rabid representation. And like you can switch out between the different Rabbids like Mario, Luigi, Peach, and they have different abilities. I think they'd be fun and cool and stupid. So
Of course,
I
I'd
love
be
that.
happy.
Emphasis
with
on stupid, that's for sure. They're
that. Hey,
just
be nice. Be nice.
so ugly.
They are ugly.
I don't want to
Well-
look at that all day. Anyway, why don't we get into our other predictions?
Yeah. And let's go backwards. Let's start with Ryan now. Ryan, what's your first gaming prediction for E3 of 2021?
I mean, obviously 2D Metroid, like that's what we're getting. Like whether it's a Super Metroid remake or a continuation of the series after, Fusion, or, maybe something else like they have planned, the Metroid Dread or whatever. I think a port is completely likely of Samus Returns, and I'd be completely okay with that. It would be a lot of fun to play that. But just I think we're getting another Metroid mention, and kind of tagging along with that. I think the year of Metroid is something that's going to happen. They're going to shout out Metroid. They're going to shout out probably Donkey Kong as well. But I think they're going to have at least some kind of more than just a splash of the Metroid Prime 4 logo, and they're going to show something of substance. Whether it's just a trailer or say, hey, get hyped. It's still in development. Here's where we are, or just like leaving a story like teaser would be great. So.
Yeah, I think so too. Like I think they will reveal something with Metroid. I think a 2D Metroid could be a good way to kind of boost promoting this 3D Metroid Prime 4. So it could be similar to back in 2002 when they had the 2D Metroid with Metroid Fusion and Metroid Prime come out around the same time, and they kind of like helped promote each other. So they might be doing something like that. But yeah, none of my predictions really include Metroid per se, but I think that a 2D Metroid is very likely, and it would be crazy at this point if we don't see anything about Metroid Prime 4. It's been long enough. They know it's been long enough. They know we've been craving it. They have to show something.
The fans will riot.
For real, though, they will. I mean, just look at what happened with Federation Force.
Oh gosh. I don't really understand. I always hear a lot of people say Prime 4 is just so far away. They got delayed, and they still talk like it got delayed like a month ago. Like, I feel like that it's been 2 years. They've had a substantial amount of time to throw a trailer together,
Yes.
even a tiny demo. Not that like they give a demo to us, but like something that they hired for play testers already for the game. So I feel like they've had plenty of time. I think that game is actually closer than people are giving it credit. I think people just push it off because they don't want to get their hopes up. But I'm not saying it's coming out next year. I'm just saying I just don't think it's as far off as people think. So
Even so much as a test fire, to try out like Metroid Prime multiplayer, and they could tweak it to see what people would like in a Metroid
that'd
Prime
be so
multiplayer
cool.
would be kind of cool. Just to hold us over, like the Blast Ball. They had Blast Ball. You could play that, before ahead of the Federation Force. They showed off Blast Ball and at an E3 even, like to show off something like a competitive Metroid scene that could be a possibility that people could try out or something would be kind of cool.
Yeah, totally. They have to have something to show for it. Like Jacob said, it's been in development long enough. 2 years is plenty to have something, even just a little teaser, longer than just the number 4. But they have to have
Mhm.
something.
Well, Josh, what about you, man? What's your first gaming pick?
First prediction for it. To kind of skip over the expected with Metroid because I'm very unsure on that one. I think there is going to be another new Fire Emblem game, most likely a spinoff this time. I'm thinking they've been kind of not quiet for a real long time, but it's been a little bit quiet on that front, and it's a series I've liked for a little while, and then I've kind of fallen off of it, like with the Switch one. I just wasn't a big fan of. But I do just again, this is a prediction, not really what I desperately want, but I do think that it's going to show up in another form. It's not going to be like Warriors, but I think it's going to be something sort of similar or more like outside of the box one. Like I can't think of the name of it. I think it was Echoes or whatever it was on the
Oh,
3DS they brought back.
yeah,
Where,
Shadows of Valentia, I think.
yeah, I think they're going to try to go sort of a different direction, so to speak, sort of a spin-off-y kind of game. I don't know exactly what form that'll take. I just feel like there's going to be something there. Maybe not like a full new game like Three Houses was necessarily, but something Fire Emblem, so to speak.
Yeah, I totally see that happening too. I mean, it's been a few years since the last Fire Emblem. It received critical acclaim. It sold like hotcakes. One of the most successful Fire Emblems so far, if not the most successful one. So I mean, it's only a matter of time. So I think that time could be this year. And yeah, I think a spin-off isn't too far off too. I mean, they've already experimented with the Fire Emblem Warriors, which who could have predicted that?
Yeah,
So
it's good.
yeah, it is good. So who knows? Yeah, I think you're right, Josh. I think we'll get at least something Fire Emblem related this year. Even if you're not a fan, there is still a decent amount of fans out there, and it's for them.
I hope you're wrong. I hope you're dead wrong.
Yeah, I was
I
kind of
hate
thinking of
I
Jacob when I was saying that.
I hate that franchise. I just think it
I
is.
could understand being a little bitter against it at this point, to be honest, for
Well,
multiple reasons.
I keep hearing people talk about Monolith Soft too, and like I don't want those games because
I know.
we have franchises that are underrepresented on like they've already had their time and they'll get it again. I understand they sell well, but dang man, like we need Donkey Kong. We need like it or not, F-Zero. We need
I
games
like
like that.
F-Zero.
We need another Kid Icarus or an HD port. We need Metroid. I don't want to see the same crap, and I know that people love them. It's just maybe it just is an extra punch on my side when I don't like the franchises, because you know I'm sure I wouldn't be as bitter if it was like a second major Donkey Kong game coming in the same life cycle. I get that, but even so, if it was that, I would say that other franchises need to have love. I do think it is important to spread the love.
I think
Right.
like
I,
with Jacob,
wrong.
maybe I feel similar. Like back in the '90s and some of the 2000s and things like that, I feel like you used to see a lot of like the Mario and Donkey Kong and the F-Zeros and a big variety of things. And now I kind of feel like 50 to 60% of Nintendo Directs is JRPGs. Um, it's some of them kind of all look the same after a while, but so I can understand at least why he's a little bit not keen on that idea.
Well,
Yeah.
Jacob said like we need this and that, we need this and that, but we as fans would like that, but what Nintendo needs and what their investors need is money. And these franchises, like it or not, make money, and that is their bottom line. So, and in addition to that, they are very well received, and they do have a lot of fans who want this kind of stuff. So, if you're not a fan of it, like I totally get it. I'm not a huge Fire Emblem fan by any stretch. I like it. It's okay, but I'm not, a huge fan. But they make a lot of money, and this is a franchise that of just a few years ago, a lot of people would say, "Oh, it needs more representation, it needs more love," because they were not selling well. It was on the verge of death just a few years ago. So they're trying to really uh, milk that milk that cow, or whatever the saying is. So I totally get it, Jacob. Like, and it's kind of like when Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze was announced, a lot of people were just like, "Oh, Retro's making another Donkey Kong game. Like, what a waste." So
Yeah,
I get it, but
that's the same
it's
exact
just
same feeling.
yeah. So I get it. It's just like it's for a certain kind of people, and hopefully they are happy with the result, and it makes Nintendo money to make more games that are a little bit more experimental or ones that we would like. But that's just me. Ryan, did you have something you wanted to say?
Nope, I don't think I really have anything to add there. Just experimental Nintendo. I feel like they're kind of heading towards that and doing some of their weird stuff. But Labo's behind them. So what are they gonna do? Jumping forward, what's their next big gimmick they're gonna show off? I'm kind of curious to see.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens with this game builder garage. I think that is
Mm-hmm.
kind of like the essence of what they're trying to go with Labo, at least that like whole STEM initiative. I think so. We'll see
What
how successful that is.
we have a Mario Maker now.
Mhm.
What if Nintendo leans into the makers and uses Game Builder Garage as an idea, so where you could make your own Nintendo games,
Yeah,
like, and share them with your friends? That'd be kind of crazy. Like, it'd be a Nintendo land, but like you create the land and the different games in the sections and
Dude,
stuff. That'd be
that'd be
kind of cool.
awesome.
yeah. I mean, one of
I
the
want it.
most interesting things about the gaming industry is just seeing how it evolves and how one successful project branches out and changes the industry entirely. So, just going back to the Fire Emblem example, no one gave a crap about Fire Emblem just a few years ago, and now we have these spin-offs, and then we had the game that had like 3 versions and stuff, and it branches
Right.
out into other ways. So Game Builder Garage, if it's successful, like Ryan said, it could create a whole new sector for Nintendo.
I miss the days of where we got a country game and then we got a land game the next year. Then we got another country game and then another land and then another country, another land. Then we got a 3D game.
Then you get
Yeah.
Diddy Kong Racing, and then you get
And then you got Diddy Kong. Man, those were the days.
Mm-hmm.
Those were the days when monkeys ruled and the swordsmen were dying underneath the sails.
Glad we're all past that now. I mean,
What the heck, Ryan? Get out. I guess
I'm not a
that
monkey
brings
fan. What
us
can I say?
clearly. Well, I think that brings us. I think it's to me now. Yeah. Okay. Well, I actually goes with along with Ryan, and I highly disagree with Chris. I think Metroid is going to be there. It's been
That's what I
rumored.
said.
Yeah, it's been
I
highly
think you meant the other
rumored.
Chris.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, Chris White. Sorry,
Okay. Sorry.
old man Chris. Last year there was those rumors. We had rumors of a new Paper Mario game. We had rumors of 3D All Stars. We had rumors of a new 2D Metroid. The only one that has not happened yet is the 2D Metroid. And where there's smoke, they say where there's smoke, there's fire, and the smoke keeps getting bigger. I definitely think there is a 2D Metroid game. I really hope it is a new game in the series. As much as I love Samus Returns, I played that game twice, and I beat it in hard mode, and I beat it in very hard mode, and or fusion mode, sorry, which is like really hard. I was obsessed with it, but I've done my fair share with it, and I really would I buy it again as a port? Absolutely. If that's what it is, I'll buy it. But I would rather there be Metroid 5. They hinted at that at the end of Samus Returns. I would definitely be okay with a Metroid Fusion remake, simply because that is my personal favorite 2D Metroid game. But uh, either a remake of that or 5 would be fantastic. And I do think we will see a small trailer for Prime 4. I'm not saying it's going to be this big in-depth thing. They're not going to have a release date. I just think they're going to show us more, like you said, Chris, more than a logo of Prime 4. I think I predicted this back when they announced the Prime 4 and Samus Returns. I actually predicted that E3 that we would hear about 2 new Metroid games, and we did. I was right. Booyah! I was right. Very rare where I land those, but I got it right. And I had no like basis of that. I just felt it in my bones, felt it in my jellies, is how they say. Um, so yeah, Metroid will be at E3, and I will be ready to pre-order the game so I can get pre-order bonus stuff. So
Nice.
that's mine. You
Give me
guys,
that
I know
special
Ryan
edition
already talked
Switch.
about it. Man, I don't know if there's gonna be a special edition like Switch. Oh,
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 that
It would
I
take
don't know,
a
the
dude.
special one to get me to buy that before
yeah.
ahead of the Metroid, or sorry, ahead of the Switch Pro. Like if they do like a regular Switch that's like for the 2D Metroid, like I'll be really between a rock and a hard place on that one.
I know, right? Like,
Dude.
I will say, like, one of the most tempting double purchases I had to like debate between like getting or not getting is that new 3DS XL with
Hmm.
the whatever it was, the Samus one, where it's like
Oh yeah, I
orange on
got that.
top with that Samus design and the gold on the bottom. Ooh.
Jacob has that.
Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't know that. Wow,
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that
bring
was
it.
amazing.
actually
Chris, if you come to the meetup, you should Jacob should bring that so you can see it in person.
Yeah, seriously. Oh, it's
yeah.
so nice.
It's that was actually it's funny you say that because that actually was the first
Oof, that is.
oh yeah, she's sexy. She's
Mm,
sexy.
mm.
Yeah, she's very sexy.
I
And
can't believe they made
yes,
that for like a 2D Metroid game, which was like a huge risk in itself. But for them to put out a whole new designed system
That
with
was
that
after
was pretty
that was
cool.
after the Switch was out too, wasn't it? When that one came out,
yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
true. Good
that
point.
makes it
It
even
was the
more
first
odd.
that's the first double purchase I ever made of a system because of a theme. And I was like, just like you, Chris, I was like, I gotta do
Yeah. Oh,
it.
yeah.
But speaking to you, Chris, it's your turn. What's your first game prediction?
Well, it's pretty appropriate that we're talking about Metroid, and while I don't know if Metroid is going to be the game that manifests as a result of my prediction, but my prediction is that I think there will be another indie Nintendo collaboration, a lot like what happened with Cadence of Hyrule. I believe Cadence of Hyrule, and this is just me speculating, but I think that that game sold pretty well, especially for it to get a physical release like a year after it came out. I think that's pretty telling. And I think Nintendo learned a lot from that, or at least I'm hoping that they did, and thinking that like, hey, we can't do everything, so why don't we commission this indie studio by making that is like pretty reputable and makes great games, and trusting them with our license if they have a pretty good background with games. And sometimes the fans do it better, fans of certain games. And over the past few years, we've had zillions of Metroidvanias. So, who better to give the Metroid license over to than these indie developers, which have already made amazing Metroidvania games, like Team Cherry, who made Hollow Knight, and Extremely OK Games, which I believe made oh gosh, what's it called? Celeste and Drinkbox Studios, the people who made Guacamelee, one of the best Metroidvanias ever. And it could even take the form of like Playtonic, who has made some amazing platformers. These are literally the people who made Donkey Kong before, Retro Studios. So yeah, that's my prediction, that they're going to collaborate with another indie developer. I don't know what game that could be, but I just feel like they've learned a lot from it, and everyone benefits. The indie studios get more recognition. Nintendo has a new successful game, and the license that they want to promote still has life to it. So that is my prediction.
I think that
Very
could
nice.
actually be a good place for something like Ice Climbers to sort of make their way back in, honestly.
True. Yeah,
I think that would
totally.
be a good place for sort of like one that doesn't have as much of a history, as some other ones that maybe just kind of need a way back in and
Yeah.
don't really know what else to do with. That might be a good way for something like that to jump in. Kind of a simple concept.
Yeah.
I would love Ice Climbers reemergence. Honestly, I really would. I had the game as a kid, and gosh, I'm not as obsessed with Ryan is, but I feel like that is a franchise that just has so much untapped potential that they haven't even like given it a fair chance.
Yeah. It's really weird that they haven't like done anything with it. Unless I'm mistaken, isn't it just that one NES game?
And then Smash Melee, and then whatever else they were put in.
Yep,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So
it.
we
like,
got an amiibo. I still grin every
true.
time I look at that amiibo, and like I'm so proud of that. It's like probably one of
Yeah.
my favorite
It
amiibos,
is.
just because I have
Yeah.
ice climbers.
Yep. And like
I have
the
I
Yeah.
the
have actual ice
iceberg in the
climber
back.
merch.
Well, Chris, since we just started with you, we get to go back around. Why don't we start with you again?
So I guess we'll do our wishes. So my wish for E3, and it's very simple and it's kind of vague, but my wish is that Nintendo reveals a completely new IP. And it's kind of a wish that's also kind of a prediction, because I think that they've kind of been hinting that they can't just rest on their laurels and just keep rehashing the same IP over and over again. It's
Yeah,
only
Fire
healthy
Emblem.
if you experiment and bring new things to the table, and that has brought them a lot of success in more modern times, like Splatoon. We're already on Splatoon 3, believe it or not, which is crazy to think about, but Miyamoto was very reluctant to have that franchise be a thing, and they kind of just let the fans and younger creators just kind of do their thing, and look at it now. It's one of their biggest franchises ever, and I'll never forget it. When that game was revealed for E3, whenever that was, like 2014 or something like that, I was like, yes,
15.
they still have it. It like I need them to be creative and have these fresh ideas and take chances again, because at that
Yeah,
point they weren't doing that for a while. I think Pikmin
yeah,
was like the last major franchise where they did that. So I don't really care what kind of genre it is. I don't care what direction it takes. I just need them to really flex their creative muscles and give their developers and teams the opportunity to really flex their skills and talents and give us something totally fresh and new, and just potentially change the industry. So I just like Nintendo the most when they're experimental. Even the GameCube, like, it didn't sell too well, but some of the most amazing games came out during that era when they just had, full flexibility, whatever I'm trying to say. So,
yeah.
yeah,
I don't know. I kind of challenge that a little bit, just to say that I think Nintendo has come out with some other um like IPs and stuff, mainly on 3DS. Like you have your Project Steam or whatever, the and things like that. Like there was several things like Dylan's Rolling Western. Like, there were several like different experimental things that they put out on 3DS. They were smaller games that could become something bigger someday.
Right.
And I think that, like, yeah, you're right. They haven't had like a big, Miyamoto has an idea and suddenly we have Pikmin. Arms is probably the closest we've come to that. As something that kind of goes in a new direction or brings something new to the table. But I could see them bringing a new IP on board, and I think a few months back they did say that there was going to be a new IP coming for Nintendo. Whatever that may be, who knows? But that's exciting. I'm kind of curious what that is. Don't. It's still a bit too early to do another. Nintendo bought the rights to um, yeah, Astral Chain, so we might see Astral Chain something in that universe, or that Nintendo do
It's a
something with
good
that
game.
soon.
Yeah.
So since now that they own it, they could do something with that. And I don't see them like doing the turnaround so quickly, but you never
I
know.
need to finish it.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I don't know how well that game sold. I think it sold like around 1 million, which is like kind of on the border of
Really?
like leave it or keep going with it and try
It
again.
was
So
good. That was
yeah,
one.
it's
It
good.
was one of the most impressive games I'd seen on Switch.
Yeah,
Honestly, like
totally.
Honestly, I forgot it
that
existed, to
makes
be honest.
that
Yeah,
makes me sad.
that's the problem.
I know. I don't mean that rude either. I've just never played it. I liked Arms. I
Yeah,
wish Arms would get more attention, but
yeah.
I
Like
I
like
can
Jacob
I can
said, I
live without
mean,
arms.
graphically, it's one of the most impressive games on the Switch, bar none. I
Totally.
like playing it in handheld mode. It's like, is this real life right now?
Yeah. It's a it's an insane game. I loved that game.
I need
I
to play
never
it.
got to finish it. I was in the middle of it when like all my divorce stuff happened, so I kind of like just fell off, and then I had to sell it off for money because I need money to survive on my own. But I would like to get back into it and finish it out. It's a good game.
Yeah.
But I'm with
And
you. I would love to
honestly,
see something new. That would be cool.
yeah. Honestly, now that I think of it, Astral Chain 2 could be a thing that could be
Yeah.
revealed this E3. So just throwing that
Yeah,
out there too.
it very well could be.
Yeah. Um, who's
So I
next?
guess me, back to me. Well, so I guess we're not predicting anymore. We're wishing, or we're kind of hybrid.
little mix of both,
Um,
maybe.
well, I guess it is my wish, but I am predicting it. I think the rumors are true. I think we're getting a new Donkey Kong game, guys. I really do. Um, I really hope it is a 3D game though. Like I'll love 2D. I love Donkey Kong, but I really, really want a 3D game. I think we've seen the Donkey Kong um, 2D formula for a long time. I just think we need to shake it up, and I would love to see that because it's the Odyssey team. I would love to see. I said this back in Odyssey when you could scan your little Diddy Kong amiibo, and Mario could run around in a Diddy Kong outfit, and it looked like a 3D Donkey Kong game, from behind. And it's like, wow, this is like I had a small taste like running around as Diddy Kong in this world, and I would love to see an open world sandbox thing like that made by them. I mean, they in Mario Odyssey they had a whole city dedicated to Donkey Kong with streets named after K. Rule, Ramby. I
Radley.
can't think of his name. Yeah, Radley, duh. They
Josh
just
was
had
so quick.
it just slipped my tongue. Well, he just played the game, so he should know.
I did it again.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. It, so I just think that they do appreciate Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong is Miyamoto's first child, if you think about it. He really is, and um, he does love Donkey Kong, and they have slowly been getting Donkey Kong back under his own branding. He used to always just be under the Mario branding, and now you see Donkey Kong merch out there. And I think if you want Donkey Kong to really be built in popularity and hype, give us a 3D game just like Mario. But I think it's not even just about Mario. I think the Kongs can be so unique and different because there's so many of them. First off, it's not just Mario throwing his hat. I think you can do so many unique things in a world like that with swinging from girders and vines and just the environments around you. I just think there's so much potential, and man, would it look beautiful in that Odyssey engine? Would it ever look so beautiful? So, and I think that will be our holiday game. I think it's the Donkey Kong game. I think it's going to be their big push, and I think they're going to have a massive, massive push behind it. So,
Yeah.
what do you
I
guys
think,
think? Am I crazy?
yes, you're crazy, but we love you anyway. No. I think that, the Odyssey team, they're not unfamiliar with the Donkey Kong franchise, and I think they're going to go back to their roots. And we're getting Donkey Kong Jungle Beat 2, baby. And there's going
Oh
to
my
be a
god.
bongo attachment for the Switch,
Oh,
and it's going to take over the world. No, I'm kidding.
oh, I would cry.
Can you imagine? Oh my God, can you imagine? No, I think you're right. I think that's a very realistic possibility, and we shall see. But I think as far as like possible things that could happen at E3, I think that's like the number one most realistic thing at this point. I mean, that's the rumor that I've heard the most, at least. So I hope you're right. That would be great.
Me too. Thanks, Josh.
Well, to kind of bounce off of yours first, yeah, that was actually one of the things I wrote down. Is a 3D Donkey Kong. I think Donkey Kong 64 was great, but I'd like to see something sort of in that vein, but perhaps a little bit better, a little more. I don't know what the word is, maybe modernized or focused, so to
Uh-huh.
speak. Especially if the Odyssey team's doing it.
Yeah.
You know, if we don't have Rare, unfortunately, anymore, and I don't see them giving that to like Playtonic or anybody necessarily, unfortunately. But the Odyssey team, I mean, they're more than competent. I think that would be great. But yeah, the other pick I had for a wish, and both of these were sort of a mix between a wish and a prediction, kind of more leaning more towards the wish side, I think, unfortunately. But is a sequel to Mario and Rabbids. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I, I said leaning more towards the wish side, but I'm really torn on this because part of me, just kind of going off of what I've seen and what I know, really makes me want to say that there is for sure something in the works. Um, I just don't know if it's time yet. Is about what it comes down to. But I'd really like to see that continue. I think that was one of those kind of very weird things we could have predicted that popped up a few years ago.
Right.
Um, and you know, honestly, a lot of us wouldn't have asked for it, but then it came out, and I think it turned out awesome.
It was
Of course,
amazing.
yeah, I think the game itself, the character in it, I was smiling throughout playing through the story in it several
Totally.
times. Just some really fun moments. The gameplay itself was good, something different. Um, and then, of course, you know, I kind of have that extra love for it just with the community and, you know,
Mm-hmm.
with Ubisoft and sending me to Gamescom for it and all that sort of thing. So maybe it's a little bit of a selfish one just for that to keep that alive for myself. But yeah, I would definitely like to see that pop up again and them just go even further with it. I think the Donkey Kong DLC was great. Of course, I'm a little biased there. I think that would be cool to see that return in some form, Donkey Kong and all of that sort of stuff. But I'd love to see where else they could go with it, especially if Nintendo just really lets them have at it and use more characters and all of that sort of stuff. Would love to see some type of sequel to that. Also, more multiplayer options. What was there was cool, but I'd love to see more, just a little more out of it.
Yeah,
I
I
wish
think
the multi wasn't so limited in that game. I felt like it was very. I wanna have a full on battle like what I do against the computers with other people.
Yeah, versus mode was really cool. Obviously it was enough to get us to Gamescom in
Yeah,
2019.
yeah.
And I played, I don't know, I'm not kidding, probably 50 rounds with my wife up till that point. But I feel like there is a little more room there to, to make a little more out of it.
I think the Mario plus Rabbids game is one of the most interesting success stories on the Switch because we'll all remember when this game was leaked, everyone was just like, "This is stupid! What a terrible idea! I hate the
I thought it was
Rabbids. Why are
fake.
they with
Yeah.
Mario? Blah blah blah." And I mean, I didn't have a strong opinion, but I was just like, "What? Why? Like, what is this?" And it's sold extremely well. I just looked it up. It has sold at least 2 million copies and is one of the most successful third-party games on the Nintendo Switch. I think
Yeah.
before Monster Hunter came out, it was the most successful third-party game, at least like in a physical sense. So it might not even be that far out to ask for a sequel, but I think it might even just be a matter of time at this point. If it's been selling that well, why not? And I think both parties were very happy with how it came out. I think they were very respectable respectful with the Mario franchise. They did a great job incorporating the Rabbids in that semi Rayman franchise. And from what I understand, it seems like they were great with the Donkey Kong DLC that they eventually included as well. So at this point, why not?
Yeah, the team behind it definitely has a respect for Mario and that whole world, and and Nintendo and where that comes from. So I believe
And
they can.
Rare. I mean, they were when that game came out. Obviously, what you were about to say was they had Grant Kirkhope
Yeah,
composing it. I just felt even from the humor, from the music, to the way it looked, this felt like what Rare from the '90s would have made for a Switch today. That's truly how I felt. I mean, I even remember going down to this to the section where you fight Bowser Jr. and like the whole floor is made out of puzzle pieces, and I'm like, this is like freaking Banjo Kazooie right now, and with the music playing, and I was like, I loved it every ounce of it. And then when the Donkey Kong DLC came out, my gosh, I would love to just have a Donkey Kong and Rabbids game, where like a full on game where you have all the Kongs because they have all these different abilities already and their own weapons, like a pea shooter and a feather gun and a peanut gun and a coconut gun and a pineapple bazooka. Like you got all these things that they could totally do. I think instead of maybe not directly a Mario sequel, but maybe you give it to like a full on like Donkey Kong and like not this DLC with K. Rool, Kremlings, and all that stuff. I think it would be really cool and unique to see them do something. If it's not Mario, do something with the rabbits. So
I definitely think there's something there. Like I
Yeah,
said, I just don't know if they're quite ready yet.
right. Yeah, but I mean, it's been enough time. It's been long enough since the last one came out, so it could happen.
Yeah.
I just worry about Ubisoft because we know that internally they've been changing as a company and they're getting away from making bigger games like that. They've even said that like they want to focus more on like more like microtransaction-y games and smaller games. So I kind of worry about Ubisoft as a company on what they're going to be doing moving forward. They may not even really want to make games like that anymore. I mean, I'm sure Davide Ciliani wants to, but who knows? I mean, he just moved too. That's another thing you got to consider. He just moved from the company he was with, the branch he was with, that made that game, and he got relocated to a different spot. And if he was working on that game, would they have done that? Would they have just picked him up and moved him out before a sequel was ready? If they're in the middle of it, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I don't know, but that's just something that I thought was interesting too. So you just kind of look at everything and be realistic about it as well.
Yep.
Ryan, you've been kind of quiet over.
What's your prediction / wish?
Hmm. That's the thing. Like, I kind of blur the line between like my prediction, wish, and what I would irresponsibly like if the best thing happened ever, Nintendo did something. Like it's kind of hard to differentiate those. So I'm gonna still hold back and try to come up with something else. I was going to be bringing up uh, in this slot. I was going to bring up WarioWare, but just tonight it was announced that Nintendo sent out a survey asking if people were interested even in getting a WarioWare game. So that kind of rules out Wario
Oh
showing up
no.
at E3. So
Ugh.
that kind of put me back at the drawing board. Um,
That's a shame.
so I don't know. Like, do I have my wishes that like rhythm games became a thing again and we get like Dance Dance Revolution actually revived or something like that? It's something crazy like that. That'd be kind of cool. Like, I'm not saying go full on bongo here, but just and I do not want to dance to Just Dance. Sorry, but just are we gonna get like a Rhythm Heaven? Are we gonna see an Elite Beat Agents sequel? What's the next music game that we're gonna see from Nintendo? And what would be a good universe or IP to see dancing or some kind of rhythm or something like that? Like, what would that be like? And that's where I kind of see like a new IP from Nintendo, and some kind of like world like that. I mean, you've got similar rhythm things with your exercise. You've got your Ring Fit Adventure, like you do things in rhythms, like exercising and going through the motions and things like that. But something more on a musical scale would be kind of interesting. But I don't know. I mean, Nintendo hasn't produced great things. Um, in the department of music, they are not willing to pay the licensing fees, and they'll just get knockoffs of someone from Nintendo's family lives in their basement, like recorded some tracks for their songs that are knockoff covers of popular songs. um, so like I'm not holding up a whole lot of
Gosh,
hope
yeah.
with that, but it would have to be some kind of crazy partnership, and I know Nintendo is not one to put out a lot of money for licensing. But I'd like to see
Right.
something in that genre of rhythm games and things like that.
Yeah. I wish that Nintendo would like collaborate with Konami and release like a DDR game that had like a Mario theme to it or something. That would be no.
And Nintendo actually made it good.
Right. Yeah, seriously. Oh
That was pretty
boy. Now
funny
I'm
though.
getting like traumatic flashbacks.
It's too
I
easy,
remember getting
way
that
too easy.
game, and well, I sucked at
Babies.
DDR. I never got past the first level, but
Same.
I beat it, but I once tried the hardest difficulty on was a Twinkle Twinkle Little Star on there, and I remember I actually passed it, but I remember falling over in the floor right afterwards too.
Josh,
So not all of it was easy.
I would pay so much money to watch you play expert mode to Twinkle Twinkle Little Star on DDR on
It was
Mario
hilarious.
2D Mix.
This was probably
I can
15
totally
years
arrange
ago.
this.
well, we can make this.
I
We
can bring it to E3.
could try it again.
can make
It's
this
been it's been years.
a Patreon tier goal.
Yeah.
It was hardcore stuff.
Subscribe to our podcast and you'll be able to watch Josh play DDR on expert mode on Twinkle Twinkle Little Star.
Oh, great. Oh yeah, the things people will pay for. Okay, well, Ryan, you get to swing us back around for another prediction. I guess is this another prediction, or is this like a wild pie in the sky?
I think this is the wild pie in the sky one.
All the above.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So with the coming of the Super Switch Pro, we are going to be seeing better graphics, and better graphics means more viability for the option of Nintendo expanding into the VR space. It's going to be a lot
What?
easier to look at a 720 screen in VR than it is on what we have right now in VR. Breath of the Wild is muddy as all get out when playing in VR. It's still fun, but I see an upgrade to that and it becoming a thing. Nintendo is really, really well suited to do the VR thing with the Switch.
Yeah.
It's portable. You just slap it into the headset and go. And the current headset with the Labo VR, it's affordable. They didn't have a head strap. You have to buy that third party to strap it to your head, so you don't have to like hold it up with the Joy Cons or anything like that. But it's doable, and you can play those games. But I just like to see Nintendo go into the VR space, and even more so, like beyond that. See, this is kind of a Switch Pro prediction, or kind of like hyping responsibly here. And that is to say, like, they've talked about the dock having upgradable firmware possibilities. I could almost see like this new Switch model becoming what the Wii U was, where if it's in, like, you can stream to the dock and play it on your TV if you need to,
Hmm.
for the VR experience. So if you have
That'd be
something
cool.
strapped to your head, it would beam it to the dock and it'd show on the TV, so your friends could watch you play. It would be wireless, because there is that technology out there right now with VR, where you can wirelessly beam to your computer or your. I don't know if PlayStation necessarily has it because they have all the wires, but there's a way you can beam it to your computer, and then people can watch. You stream it while you're actually playing VR in your VR space. That's kind of like something that I'd like to see them take that gamepad technology, kind of partner it with the Switch and its capabilities. Now, this would make Switch Pro really expensive, but I would just really love to
Wow.
see the VR like take a new leap towards that, and Nintendo really give it a second go.
Well, it's already been rumored that it's going to be like $100 more. So I mean, That'd be really cool. I mean, basically, you re-release the Wii U. It's just a Switch. It's just a Switch powers now. That would be,
It's a Wii you could actually take out of the room and go somewhere else with it and not
yeah,
have to worry about a disconnect.
that'd be really cool to see it come full circle, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
I would love
Totally.
that.
Yeah, the Wii U had so much untapped potential, and like it would just be amazing for them to bring back like asymmetric gameplay.
Right.
There's so much that you can do with it, and it's such a shame that even Nintendo didn't even capitalize on it when the Wii U came out. So
Mhm.
to see that kind of concept get like a second win would be awesome, and I think honestly would be great for gaming in general because it would just be so fresh in a way, even though it already came out. But for it to come back and come out with like great ideas and games that really took advantage of it, I think the gaming industry would be much better off because of it. It's just we need that type of breath of fresh air because the Switch, like as much as I love my Switch, it's just going back to traditional gameplay. Like it's
Mhm.
awesome that I can take anything anywhere, but like, we're just going back to the same buttons and we're playing games the way that we love it. But I need someone to mix it up and give me a new way to play things again. I miss that's what I love about Nintendo. They
The
give you
two
a new way to
screen
play
gaming
things.
thing was really unique,
Yeah.
like being I think in Nintendo Land showed it best. And heck, if they did this, maybe that's a port that comes with the Pro. Is that I remember you doing things on your pad that everyone else looked at the TV and people couldn't see. Like that Luigi's Mansion, that was probably the best mini game in there
Mhm.
that they did, and they totally could do that. I think even games like Zelda. Like it was so nice to just look down at the gamepad and use that to select things quickly, to look at your map constantly where you're going. There's a lot of great ideas there that I think are very useful if the system itself was better, and that the Switch is better than the Wii U, and just combine those back. I would totally pay $100 more to have that. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe this will be called the Switch U.
Would you save up and pay 1,000 for it if it was that expensive?
No,
No.
not $1,000.
I
Okay.
love the idea, but for 1,000, no. I don't think anyone would.
I
Mhm.
don't think it's gonna be a Nintendo would never do that either. They would
Mhm.
never do $1,000 system.
Yeah, that just goes against what they go for. I think from the very beginning, what they try to do is have the most amount of like play value in the cheapest price possible for consumers because
Mhm.
they hit their stride when they find that price point that everyone is just like, okay, fine. So I anything above
Yeah,
like 350 is like really pushing it.
Mhm.
So, but we'll see with the Switch Pro, like, it's going to be more of like a niche audience. It's not going to be for like little kids and families and stuff. It's going to be for the hardcore fans, if it's even a thing. So we'll see how
Yeah.
that turns out.
yeah. I say 400 would be the highest I think they'd go on it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Josh, you have any comments on Ryan?
Not really at this point. I'm sorry.
Well, let's go back to you, Josh. What's your pie in the sky wish here?
Oh, well, outside of Mario and Rabbids. So I feel like this is almost just stupid at this point, but the pie in the sky sort of pick I think I would go with is, again, sort of a callback to the old rare Nintendo days, of course. I want something sort of,
Holla!
yeah, I want something sort of like a Diddy Kong Racing game. It doesn't have to be Diddy Kong Racing, but something
Doesn't need to
that
be.
takes that genre and does something new with it. That takes like, kart racing, kind of like a Mario Karty game, but does something a little more adventurous with it, so to speak. I'd
Hmm.
more of a. I'm trying to think of a good comparison. Really, I don't know if there is one. I just feel like that adventure mode in Diddy Kong Racing, um, sort of they could go back and do something more with that. That
Yeah.
they also did something similar to that. I don't know if anybody else has played it, but like in the Crash Team Racing game, it's not as, I don't feel like as big as like Diddy Kong Racing did with it, but there's an adventure mode in that as well. And it's just, I always thought that was kind of strange that really hasn't been revisited in quite the same way, when I feel like they could do so much more with it now in different vehicles and things like that.
Right.
So I would like to see that return again. preferably if it was Diddy Kong and a lot of those cool characters. But that's just sort of one random thing I wish would come back. I would like a good multiplayer-ish focus game like that. Something
Amen.
something that I can play, on the couch with my friends or online with you all.
Yeah.
That also has a little more meat to it than say a normal Mario Kart would.
Mhm.
Yeah. Part of the appeal for Diddy Kong Racing for me is it's just this combination of all these things. Like, first of all, the music is incredible in that game.
Yep.
And I just like the graphics. Like, yeah, they're not pristine or anything, but it's just something about that color palette that they chose. It's just such a happy combination of colors, and so I like the graphics for that reason. And there's lots of variety in the stages. I will say, even as a kid, I understood that the gameplay was a little wonky. Like, the controls were just a little bit off and not as tight as Mario Kart, but there's something about that I kind of like. It kind of gives you this like need to kind of conquer the controls and try to master them and still try to win the race in that way. But
Mhm.
there's just
Conquer?
so much. Yeah, sorry. I feel like that's not the first time I've done that too. um, but yeah, the adventure mode is just so special in that game, and like you said, it's hard to compare to anything else because very few other games have even attempted something like that. And like I mentioned before, the controls for that aren't perfect, but that's kind of part of the charm. I kind of liked running into a wall every once in a while or running into a character or something. It's just
All
there's just
right.
something really charming about that. But yeah, I would love for that to happen.
I'm with you on it. And I mean, people on Mario Kart 9, honestly, I wish Nintendo would take their Mario Kart team and make another racing game with someone else, like Diddy Kong. Like, you know, give Mario Kart a rest and be more experiment. Like, because they have the formula down for Mario Kart that they love, they have it down. Go take another franchise like Diddy Kong and do something new and tweak that. I think that would be cool, and I would love that. I predicted Diddy Kong Racing like 3 years ago, Diddy Kong Racing 2, and it never happened. But hey, who knows? I think it'll happen one day.
Yeah. They could even
So
just take Kirby and like, I don't know, put him on a star and just have the controls be one button the entire time. No, please don't do
that's
that.
a that's an idea there. That's an idea.
It's a bad idea, I'll tell you that much. Um, yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess it brings back to me. Gosh, guys, there's a lot of things. I mean, as we're talking, like I have more predictions and stuff. Um, I will say this: I didn't bring up Zelda because I think Zelda's kind of like the elephant in the room. I think we all expect Breath of the Wild too. So I didn't put that in my picks here. Let's say I had two things written down. Um, I guess I'll just say them both. My pie in the sky is I think Game Pass will finally come to Switch. I think it's because of the Pro. I think the Pro is real. I think it's going to be able to offer more, and I think that's going to be part of it for Game Pass, which would just be a dream come true and fill my rare itch. And then my other one is because of the Pro. I think we're going to be getting games that were like, why isn't this on the Switch? Shouldn't it be on the Switch? But they just wouldn't port it over. And I think that's the Kingdom Hearts trilogy. I think that's going to come to Nintendo Switch Pro. And yeah, those are my pie in the skies. It really all they lie on the basis of a Switch Pro being announced and being real. But I think those two things will happen.
Yeah, I think those are pretty interesting predictions, and those could happen. One of my like mini wild card predictions is that Game Pass will not be coming to Switch, but you make a pretty compelling argument. My belief is that the Switch is just not capable of handling Game Pass because with Game Pass, from what I understand, and Josh, correct me if I'm wrong, you have to download each game, and all of those games take up a lot of memory, and the Switch does not
Mhm.
have that much memory. And like, yeah, you could get like you could upgrade with your memory card, but like I don't even think they have memory cards that could do that justice, really. So And also, like, a lot of the games on Game Pass, like the line between what the Switch can handle and what the Switch definitely can't handle is a little blurry. So they'd have to really think about, like, okay, Gears of War definitely can't be on the Switch, but Spiritfarer can, and already is, but whatever, you know what I mean. So it's like, how would they be able to get that service there if, like, some of the games can handle it, some of the games can't be handled on the Switch? So I don't know, but I don't think that it's unrealistic.
Maybe it's a more of a cater towards Nintendo. Like they put games on the past that cater to a Nintendo crowd, per se,
That's true.
just to
Yeah.
make more money. You know, like you would see all the rare games on there. You would see just select titles from Xbox head studios. You know, maybe you did see Halo games on there, things like that.
Right.
But like, just to
Right.
be its own unique thing on there for Microsoft to make money as well. So
Yeah, like this Game Pass Lite, maybe something like that.
yeah,
Yeah,
new
could happen.
new Game Pass for Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, I mean, all they really have to do is just kind of drag and drop the games that they think the Switch could handle. But
Sure.
I mean, I'm not a tech wizard. It's probably way more complicated than that. So it's very possible that it's like just like almost impossible to happen. But it could also be possible. We just don't know. So yeah, that'd be pretty cool though.
Thank you, Ryan or Josh. You guys have any comments on that?
With Game Pass, I've always kind of wondered that myself, as if, there's always rumors of it coming over, but obviously there's games on Xbox One, or for that matter, Series X, that Switch just plain out could not handle. So maybe like you all were saying,
maybe.
I would hope so. And then maybe that's possible. Otherwise, I would say maybe it is sort of like a specialized version of it where it's, stuff before maybe Xbox One or stuff on there that it can't handle. It could probably handle like rear replay and things like that.
Oh, totally.
So that would be cool. I don't know if I see that happening. That seems kind of wild, but
that's why it's a wild pick.
Yeah. I mean, there has been a lot of discussion about it for whatever reason. So, you never know.
Jacob, what was the other thing that you said? Like the collection?
I think Kingdom Hearts. I think the trilogy would come to Switch. I always wondered why it wasn't there. And their relationship with them so strong right now, and they've brought over games that I never thought I'd see on Nintendo. Like all those Final Fantasy games are on Nintendo now.
Yeah.
And Kingdom Hearts is the one franchise that they have that like I've always wanted to play. And I think the Switch could run it, but I think a Switch Pro could run it even better. So I think that mainly like that third game that just came out not too long ago, I think that with that they could do a triple pack and bring it over.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm with you there, and it has been very strange that Kingdom Hearts hasn't really been on Nintendo, like the traditional ones. We've had all these ones with these crazy math names, 352 divided by 8.6 or some crap. I don't know what that's about.
We've even got the music game on the Switch, but not.
Yeah.
True. That's a good point, Josh. Yeah.
We get the spinoffs.
Yeah. So I could see that happening, especially if Sora ends up being a character. I really don't think that'll be happening, but I mean that's why they would put him in the game, and he has been a huge fan request. So
I feel like Disney. I think Disney adds a whole other layer of complication to that.
Good point. Very good point. But Disney likes money more than anyone else, so
Hey,
true.
Tsum Tsum's in the Aladdin and Lion King games are on Switch. So Disney does have some stuff on Switch, and Square Enix has plenty of games on Switch. So I don't see it being too far of a cry for that. And Melody of Memories, Kingdom Hearts is on Switch, so that points to it. I think we might get a Dream Drop Distance port before we got Kingdom Hearts trilogy, but
for Smash though, would they want that Mickey Mouse key ring? Like hanging off of Sora's Keyblade.
Why not? I mean, Smash is huge.
Ask them.
Not?
Well, Disney would be cool with it. It would be, the Nintendo side of it more. I don't know.
I think they would. I think Nintendo looks up to Disney, and I mean, back in the early days, they originally, if you know the history, like they wanted to make Disney trading cards for them, back in the
Yeah.
day when
Right.
they made cards.
Yeah, it's just like certain executives at Disney make all the calls, and it's just
Right.
like, do they have a compelling enough argument for these characters, which are not really video game characters?
Right.
Mickey's more of like a TV and movie character in a way, although
Right.
he's had some games, so there's that.
He has.
But it's just like where Disney comes into play when it comes to them having their franchises and licenses in a Super Smash Brothers Nintendo fighting game. It's a little
That'd be
tricky,
crazy.
but weirder things have happened, like Banjo-Kazooie, who belongs to Microsoft. Their competing console is a Smash character, so who knows?
Could you imagine a Kingdom Hearts level and it's just like got Toy Story characters and Cinderella? Like how crazy
That'd be
bonkers
cool.
would that be?
Yeah. And I mean, going back to your collection idea, I mean, we all know RPGs have been selling like crazy on the Switch, so
Right.
that's another reason. So I could totally see that happening. But at the same time, I could have seen Kingdom Hearts being on a Nintendo platform even earlier than this. So who
Sure.
knows?
Well,
So
that leads us off. I think back to you, Chris.
I think so too. So I do think that I'll give two very super quick, brief wildcard ones. I think there's going to be a Microsoft collaboration. I don't think it's going to be Game Pass for the reasons that I mentioned, but I
Mhm.
think we'll get something. They've been teasing something, and
They
I
have.
don't know what that is, but it's very possible that we'll just get another port of another Microsoft game, maybe Battletoads, which is not
Master Chief
unfamiliar to.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, Master Chief Collection, very possible. I don't think that'll be it, but who knows? And Rare Replay. I mean, we've been
Yes.
screaming for it. We've been screaming for it. I think the Switch could handle it too. I think nearly all of the games were on systems that the Switch is powerful enough to handle, even like the 360. Switch could easily handle 360 games and already
Absolutely.
has. So I think we'll get a Microsoft collaboration. Brian, were you going to say something?
Just recently, Nintendo had to strike down some things that were going to come to light in the Epic versus Apple about involving dealings with Microsoft and Nintendo. So that might
Yeah.
lend a little bit to
Oh,
what you're saying there.
Mhm.
So,
right. Yeah. I think that's probably what subconsciously was in the back of my mind with that. Yeah, that's a good point.
there's
Thanks
definitely
for
smoke.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. And like I believe that even in a more recent promotional video that they had, I don't know what it was for, but I guess one of the Microsoft execs had like a Switch in the background, and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Microsoft would not be okay with that um, unless there was something going on there. So we'll see. Like I said, who knows what it could be? There's no way of knowing, but I think a port of a game that's already existed could be a possibility. I think that's like more realistic, but I think there's something more than that. If you're teasing a Nintendo collaboration like that, there's something a little stronger than that, and it could
They're
just
definitely
be.
courting.
What's that?
They're definitely courting each other in some form or fashion.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm glad that it's been happening progressively with the Banjo in Smash, with Minecraft in Smash, with Ori, with Cuphead, with all these little things. It's been very cool to see that get even stronger. I never would have predicted that, but it's very cool to see what can happen when two competing companies, even though they're competing, when they work together, there's like this win-win relationship that can benefit both of them. So that's been pretty cool. But
Yeah.
my wild card prediction, it's very simple. I think we're gonna get Pikmin 4. Pikmin 3 came out last year. It was a pretty random port, and I think that there is interest in reviving Pikmin. They have mentioned that they're making this app. They have mentioned that they're trying to make more, animated things with their franchises and licenses and series, whatever I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And it was mentioned before that Pikmin 4 was basically done in like 2014. Miyamoto confirmed it. So where is that game? Why would they be sitting on it if they spent that much time on it? Especially if it was like on the Wii U, that was like a lot of money and work went into that. But yep, Pikmin 4. I think it's going to happen.
Okay. I could see that. I mean, I think people have been kind of guessing that the last handful of years because we because of those what he said and because it's been a while. But Pikmin 3 just became the best selling game in the franchise when it released on Switch. It just saw a new life. And if Pikmin 4 is done, maybe they were waiting for Pikmin 3 to see how the sales were, and then turn around and release this new one. So
Yeah.
I could see it happening.
Yeah, because I mean, it was made for the Wii U after Pikmin 3 came out, and by the time that game would have come out, the Wii U was an absolute failure across the board.
Yeah.
Like everyone knew it. So it's like, why would we release this game if we know it's only going to sell a certain amount of copies and maybe not even that much? So I think their releasing of Pikmin 3, like I mentioned before, was their way of kind of getting us familiar with the franchise. And believe it or not, I know a lot of people that have Pikmin 3 who are not gamers like you and I. These are very casual people, and they love it. So I think there's a market there for it. So I have nothing beyond what I've already said to back this up. And this is definitely more of like a wild card and a wish kind of thing, but I think it really could happen. So, and I hope that it does.
Me too. Well, guys, I mean, that brings us to the end of this E3 predictions episode.
So, yeah, you can always find us on Facebook, Nintendo Nostalgia. Of course, we have our group over there, the Nintendo Nostalgia chat, so feel free to jump in there and join us with all of that nonsense. On Twitter, we are at Nintendo_NOS, and we are the same on Instagram. Oh, and I've also started a little TikTok channel for Nintendo Nostalgia. We're going to see where that goes, just something sort of fun here on the side, and see what you guys maybe would like to see more of. Got a couple videos up on there now, so go check that out.
And also, if you guys wanted to give us any comments or feedback or anything, you can always leave us a voicemail or send us an email. So these details are going to be in this episode's description, but just in case, our voicemail is 317-969-5690, and our email address is nintendonostalgiain@gmail.com. And we always love to hear from our listeners. I believe next week our episode is going to be based on Wario Land 4 for the Game Boy Advance. So if you have anything that you wanted to say about that, feel free to reach out, or you can just send us a comment or anything about whatever is on your mind.
Perfect. Yes, guys, thank you so much, and we'll see you all at E3 time. Enjoy, and may your wishes come true.
Yes. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Later, Preston. Want to know a surefire way to tick off our fans?
Kind of.
Remind them that they lost the game.
I'll leave that to you.
I can't see anything.
Open your eyes.
Okay.
What?
King, yeah, Rome or whatever. No, King of the Red Lions.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I got it. I got it.
This guy I know has that fish that from Wind Waker.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Funny.
I've fed that stupid thing so much food.
What's that?
Tingle, cool.
I've fed that stupid fish so much.
Yeah. I like that guy though.
Kaboom!
Choo choo. Kaboom! Sploosh.
Someone said splooge.
Sploosh. You know, like
Who
the
said
stuff from
that?
holes. No, the guy from
Yay!